and he could actually feel this man's life leave his body. What kind of fucking sadistic piece of shit are you?
Welcome to the Love Is Podcast with your host, that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and her co-host, the lovable a-hole, that's right, I said lovable, Mr. DK Walker, where they will be discussing love, relationships, family, life, sex, self-help, and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Why? Because love is everything, and everything should be loved. Now to today's podcast.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, the thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, alongside my co-host, the amazing asshole. Yes, we do say asshole, Mr. DK Walker. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
Well, today is different than a normal podcasting day. Today we are going to delve into something we normally don't do. Not so much as politics, but it's a little political. So we're going to ditch our normal segment of What the Fuck News, and we are going to discuss what's going on currently in our nation. You would have to live under a rock to not know that murder has happened. In the case of George Floyd, he has now since been laid to rest. And however, the nation is at unrest. There is a lot of protesting, rioting, looting. What do we want to say? Laws trying to be passed at the same time. Polls are, being opened miraculously that weren't done during COVID for people to vote. But here we are. Okay. And so we are going to, as best as possible, our usual, our usual motif of how we actually feel about all of this. It is a very interesting yet scary time to live, more so because we both have children. And, just knowing the world that we are leaving them to live in, because something DK Walker says to me all the time is, I'm not going to be here forever. And he says it to his daughter as well. And these last couple of days, I was kind of rang a little more true that we're not going to be here forever. And the world that we're living our kids to is definitely not where I want to leave them, with no hesitation about that. Also, you would have to live under a rock right now to have not seen the Dave Chappelle clip, which I thought was amazing. He's not saying anything that we haven't heard before, but of course his delivery is always going to be different than anyone else.
True. Yeah, usually, like my co-host said, we don't jump out the window with politics. We don't jump out the window with religion, but this is like life. We have a platform, so we're obligated. Well, we're obligated for two reasons. First, because we're Black to the core. Myself, I have, a past with me, but still my past will not silence me with the bullshit I'm currently seeing. That's not a problem. The other thing is we have a platform, and I believe that anybody that with a platform needs to use that platform to speak on the bullshit of the day. When I'm at work, my day job, when I'm out of a trash truck, I see Black dudes in the street, and usually I just, we head nod, whatever case may be. What's up? Take it easy, whatever case may be. But my usual saying, after the murder of George Floyd is be safe out here, Black man. And I mean that in a literal sense, like just because nobody plans to go out and be murdered, like by the police. Nobody doesn't plan to be murdered, killed by the police. So I instead of me individually telling every Black man that I may run into during the course of my day to be safe, I'll use my platform to tell everybody, Black man, Black woman, and sympathizers, with us, because we do have white people that's rocking out. We do have, people across the world that's not, of African descent rocking out with us. We're tired. We're tired of the bullshit. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of being used as chess pieces, in this very sickening game that society has, been playing with our lives, which I think is, grossly fucked up, to say the least. enough is enough. With the first murder, it was enough, right? And I think what happens is it gets more blatant. It gets more, I'm not going to go to jail for my actions. I'm being supported because nobody's not going to do too much of anything. And what happens is what you're starting to see in the streets is just a reflection of, this generation, it's not Martin generation. This generation is leaning a little towards Malcolm, to say the least, right? They're not turning too many cheeks anymore because you can only do so much to a people, and the people start to do something back. It's just only a matter of time. And what I think what happens from a whole humanity, aspect is white people see this and they're like, they recognize the wrong. But what I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to be speaking for them, but it has to be on the forefront of their minds. It's like, if this goes totally left and becomes a race war, then it's on site. And that takes away from everybody normalcy of life. People want to get back to the normal bullshit, right? Whatever the normal bullshit may be, people want to get back to it. People don't want to go up their door and the last time I say goodbye to my wife, that will be the last time. Like, it's crazy. Or I'm going on the door and I talk to my daughter, Daddy, I love you too. Of course, she tell me loving her more than she loves me is not possible. She has no idea how much I love her. So we go back and forth with that. And that interaction could be our last time. So granted, nobody's going to live forever, but I don't want to die prematurely either. I'm gonna let that sink in. Nobody's going to live forever, but I fucking don't want to die prematurely either. And what's going on in the world today, you didn't even have to leave out your house. You could be home in your bed and, get killed by the police. Like, enough is enough a long time ago.
And the thing of it is, too, like, I remember I didn't watch the whole thing. It was just too painful. And you would think at this point of seeing these videos, I mean, it's not anything new. It's just been more rampant. I would give it the last 5 years. And the part that kind of crosses my mind is that in every city, in every state, for how many years has this gone on before we got technologically savvy and now recording, this is what's going on. And I remember it was like the day after, and I was like driving in the car. I was running errands, doing my usual, off day things. And a cop, I was driving a residential area, and the way the roads are kind of looped. He came into the lane, and I remember looking at the back of the car and it said to protect and serve. And I forgot who I was talking to, but I kind of remember like taking a breath and being so like shook by it. Because here I am reading the back of the car that says to protect and serve. And in my mind, I'm like, who? And for the first time in probably a long time, if ever, because I think even with everything going on, I've never felt scared. But as of that day, that they kneeled on his back, he said, I can't breathe, called out for his mother, and, and left up out of here to go be with Jesus. I think that was the first time in a long time I've ever been scared of the actual police. Like, and I remember vocalizing it. Like, I've never been afraid of them, especially in my city where things happen, but not to the detriment that we see in other places. And it's not to say that it can't happen at home, but because once it happens at home, that's a whole nother dynamic. But I was like, for the first time ever, I'm just like I actually question it across the board. Like, the boys in blue just weren't, like, at that moment, I just really just did not feel like they were for us. And that was anybody. That was just a humanity standpoint.
Yeah, to say the least. The crazy thing is, it's not even, it shouldn't be an us versus we thing. I don't want to take a paintbrush and paint all cops as bad. And, some people be like, well, this is true, right? Because all cops aren't bad. It's not. Just like all, black people are not thugs, or, all white people are not racist. That may ruffle some feathers to hear that. But those, you don't put people in a box and just label them as is and just like put them to the side. I think that's what's going on today. People just tired. At the end of the day, we're fucking fed up. We're tired. Enough is enough. Something has to give. The sad part is that it's going to get, in my opinion, horrifically worse before it even begins to get better, because change can't come quick enough to quell the anger in the people. Right? Like, so anybody watched the Dave Chappelle show, there was, Don Lemon had said something to the fact, like he was calling out, black and I'm trying my best to be nice to people. It's just because, it's early in the morning time, but, me trying to be nice is not going to last, much longer as I talk because, I'm in the frame of mind of calling, bullshit. So long story short, Don Lemon called out Dave Chappelle and the rest of, black leaders as far as entertainment people, sports people, things of this nature. And I'm like, why? Like, what's the need to appoint somebody to say something so you can have a sound bite for ratings? Like, this has gone way past, you trying to get in front of it. Okay. And what I'm talking about is this: when they did the March on Washington a long time ago, you have to understand they put Martin Luther King in front of that. And then when they talked to Martin was like, I didn't organize this. They tired, they're fed up. They're coming here to demand what's supposed to be God given to them, their civil rights. And so they put Martin Luther King in front of it to quell the anger, right? That'll never happen again. This generation is not standing for it to be. We're not going to. And I'm not saying what Martin did was wrong, right? I think actually by him helping us to adjust to redirect the anger saved a lot of lives that day, because people had really bad intentions when they was marching coming to Washington. We were done talking, right? A lot of people had Malcolm X attitudes on that march, but today we're still marching, we're still being, for the most part, peacefully when we protest, but we're no longer going to lay down and just die. We're not no longer going to lay down and just be, a moment when on a sign. We're no longer going to, say that we can't breathe and don't have everybody else, collectively take a breath for us. We're no longer going to be put in a place that we know we can get out of. And we can by unity, not only through us as blacks, but everybody. Like, if you see injustice, it's just not injustice to our race; it's injustice to the human race. And so we all got to stand together, because we can never go back to the bullshit. It's impossible to go back to the bullshit. So if everything now is happening to unfurl a new, then let it be a new for the rest. Don't let it be for a moment. Let it be for the rest of everybody's lives. This is what we are adhering to: justice for all, not just because it's a moment, right? So me personally, I cannot never tell anybody how to react to the bullshit. I can't tell how people to react to the fear that they're having once they leave their houses. I can't. I'm not in their shoes, right? I can't tell people, how to boycott, how to I can't. The audacity to me to even try. I'm not going to do it. Whatever you need to do to calm that fear, to calm that anger, to get your point across, just be safe. I'm not advocating for anything, and I'm definitely not telling you not to. I'm just saying be safe in the process. But once that anger has subsided, then we need a game plan. Like, we definitely need a game plan. And one thing I do understand about this country that, we reside in, nothing moves the needle like the economic needle. Nothing. We start to affect the bottom line of companies of America. Because let's be real, people. America is nothing but a corporation. Now, I may be reaching a little bit, but the president, and I'm not talking about the current fucking idiot in office, I'm talking about all presidents is nothing but CEOs of the country. Bottom line, it just is what it is, right? So with that understanding understood, let's collectively start to affect the bottom line of how America does business. Not only the black dollar, which is the most important dollar in America today, because nobody spends money like black people. And if you listen to the news and the media, you would always think that, we're we're the reason for welfare. We're the reasons that we got our hands out. No. Nobody spends money like we spend money, no matter where we get the money from. So once we collectively start to dictate how our dollars are spent, and then the sympathizers with the movement also follow suit, then we can effectively have change. Until that happens and whatnot, what's going to happen is the anger is going to dissipate, and then it'll be business as usual. It can never be business as usual again as long as you're black, alive, and in America. It's impossible.
I definitely don't think we're going to go back to business as usual, especially now. I think where the anger could be subsiding now because, he's been laid to rest. The officers have been arrested. But as far as like the Don Lemon thing is, I feel like because we have allowed celebrities to become our barometer of what we say is right. And the reason I'm saying that is because we've gotten to the point now where we're taking, political advice from Kanye West, his wife, Beyonce and Jay-Z have, done more or less like they've done voter videos, whereas Kanye and Kim are, going to the White House, meeting with the idiot in office, and, trying to do quote unquote reform and whatever that means at whatever price you sell your soul. I don't know. But for Don Lemon, who I'm particularly not a fan of anyway, to call out celebrities like, he's not on television every day. Like he's not was a little like for me was just reaching. Like, why are you throwing rocks when you're not doing anything yourself?
I mean, because he's part of the problem. Like,
Facts.
I don't, right, and I don't mean that, I'm not judging him, his lifestyle. I don't need nobody to take what I'm saying and running with it. He's just because he's part of the media. So therefore he's part of the problem. And I think because he didn't even, he called them out and then they had him back on to rebuttal against what Dave had said, because Dave definitely had mentioned him. And so if you look at it was him, some white guy, some white chick in the middle, right? And had him on the end. And so the white guy was looking to stoke the flames between him and Dave Chappelle to get another great soundbite, because that's all it is, sensationalism at its finest. He was like, no, I agree with Dave Chappelle. He was smart enough to not go back and forth because he knew he was wrong, because Dave Chappelle was like, it's nothing for me to say. The streets are speaking. And that's what I was alluding to earlier about this is not my grandfather and grandmother's protest. It's not. The streets right about now, and they own something real different. And the more that the powers to be that push the envelope of this divisiveness, then the streets are really going to start to open up, and the violence, and I don't want it to happen, but the violence will increase. And we're not only talking about the rioting and the looting, like, it's going to get to a point in time where, once again, I'm not advocating for this. I want to make that clear, but it's going to come to a point when, an eye for an eye is definitely in effect. Like, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants, because America's supposed to be, land of the free, home of the brave, and all that bullshit, right? That's what it's supposed to be. But nobody wants, to have civil unrest in 2020. Like, you would never even think that we would be going down this road. But if you look at the positioning of, who's in office, if you're looking at the positioning of how the police, interact with us, if you're looking at the position of all of that, honestly, it's just only a matter of time, because you can't keep mixing these volatile elements inside of a pot and don't expect that pot to boil over. And that's what's currently happening now. The pot is starting to boil over, and it's collateral damage with everybody involved. And for the people that still has something to, can make a change and want and don't want the pot to like spill all the way out. I think this is what's happening now. That's why you have so many people that's angry, that's not black, because like, once again, people just want to get back to their lives. They just want to get back to their lives. And let me touch on this while I'm going down this rabbit hole. Police officers, right? I like, once again, all y'all are not bad. All y'all are not wrong. My brother, he retired, great dude. As a kid, I used to tell John, I want to grow up and be just like you. Okay. Of course that's changed because, I'm me now. I have, another friend that I consider brother, Jonathan, great guy. They retired from the police force, great guys, right? And I'm pretty sure everybody knows somebody, knows a cop that's not a bad person, but my message to police officers is this: if you see your coworker doing something that's asinine, it's your job, it's your duty to just stop them. Even if you can take two racist cops, right? And then one racist cop has the ball to actually want to kill a black man or woman or brown man or woman, right? And one's doing it and another one is standing there, right? The one that is standing there, do yourself. Now, it's not even about saving that life. It's actually about keeping your ass out. Be selfish. Pull pull that racist cop off of that person, because what's going to happen in today's society, not only that the person that's doing the killing is going down for it, so are you. So you would be saying you actually having self-interest in saving that person's life, even if you didn't want to. And that's being like the bare minimum, the bare bones of it. But even if it's just your self interest, it's like, okay, like I dig what you're doing, and I know that sounds fucked up, right? I dig what you're doing, but I'm gonna stop you because when this shit hit the fan, since I'm standing here and I know somebody's videotaping, it's gonna hit me too. Now that person may buck on you. Y'all can have a conversation about it later and be like, look, dude, like this is how it's gonna go down. It's at least have a humane, responsibility to stop murder. But if you don't have that, it be selfish. Like, I don't want to go to jail with your dumb ass. Bottom line.
But I think because the threat of going to jail, because I mean, if you think about it, I think this is the first time that I can remember, even with the body cams on, off, and different, even with social media running, this is the first time I've seen all the officers catch hell. And my other thing though about it is, I get what you're saying, because that's what everybody's saying, is that why didn't y'all stop him? Because here's the thing. If we're going to go off of just clips, if the clip you only watched was the 8 minutes and 46 seconds of him pleading for his life, and then to the point where he calls out for his deceased mother, then you've actually missed a good chunk of it too, because there's another part where it's shown where he was already in the back of the cop car. The police are fighting him physically. So the asinine part of it is that here he is, I forget how tall he is, but he's handcuffed, sitting in the back of a patrol car, and there's officers on both sides, on the driver's side and on the passenger side. And you can clearly tell that somebody is swinging on him. So how is it that I can defend myself when I'm handcuffed? So then after they beat him up a few times, they drag him out of the car onto the passenger side. And then here's where we get to the point of where we're, chanting, "I can't breathe." But I liked what Dave Chappelle said about the part about the officer, that Chris Dorner, because we want, human beings to be human. We want them to take accountability. But when you have situations like Chris Dorner, I just don't see policemen policing other officers. I just don't see it. Not in this generation and not in the next.
Okay, I get that, right? But okay. So we say we don't, and that's just it. We don't see that. So we don't see those conversations, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's kind of hard and I could be wrong, right? Because I've been seeing, I don't know. I honestly believe that, there's been conversations, because if you're talking about, I'm pretty sure there's been, and I could be wrong, and I keep repeating myself, that there's been a situation where cops was going too far and other cops stopped that cop from like, whatever the reason was. I'm pretty sure they pulled up. See, we don't see that a lot, right? But we need to see that all the time. That's the difference. We need to see it all the time, not just what we don't see, that we don't hear of, how a cop saved somebody's life, by defending that person against a fellow officer. But we need to see that all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had, just for really more so on cops' behalf. Because until they start having these, I don't want to call them education moments, but until they kind of change the dynamic of how they are seen, like how we see them, how my kids see them.
See that? I'm sorry. Please forgive me for cutting you off. Right? Look. This is the problem. You can't ask somebody that doesn't have everyday interaction to go in certain neighborhoods and police effectively. It's not even possible. Like, you could not send, a cop that's out of the inner city to rural Arkansas and police effectively, because the dynamics is so much different, right? I'm not saying, well, I am saying that I think each community should police their own, because you understand the dynamics of that community, and you will understand that every action doesn't warrant an arrest. Every action doesn't warrant brute force. It just doesn't. Like, within each community, groups of people, we have our own language. We have our own way of dealing with something. Like, okay, you roll up in the neighborhood and you see two young black boys in the middle of the street, right? And you see them, back in the day we call slap boxing. They're not fighting. They're just slap boxing. Like, they're just, roughhouse playing, right? Now, if you're not from that neighborhood, if you're not from that city, if you haven't seen this before, you automatically thinking that two kids or two young men are physically assaulting one another. And what happens, you go to arrest them. And the people that watch like, hold on, what you doing? And that's where the unrest comes in, that because you're coming in without knowledge of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And then too, now you have to think in that community alone, like they've, interviewed the convenience store owner who did call, originally the cops. And now think of how untrusting he is. Like he's probably had that convenience store. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit trail of, who owns what in the hood, who supports what in the hood, because I don't know. I don't live there. Dude could be real dope. Dude could, do a lot for the community. I don't know. But um he now regrets calling the
But of
cops.
course, how could he not, right? Because he understood that, whatever was going on, it didn't want him, even him calling the police. Like, I mean, I wasn't there. So the thing was, just trying to pass off a fake $20 bill, right? Not a problem. If you do call the police, like he's out of your stores, he's no longer causing it. It wasn't a physical threat. So before you take it to that next level, and understanding the tension that's already in the air that's in America, I think everybody needs to do I escalate it by calling the police, not knowing how that situation would turn out? Like if there's no physical threat, then what are we really doing here? If he wasn't, trying to hold the store up, if he wasn't, don't get me wrong, once he's gone, you could call later. Let me give you this supposed, because I wasn't there, I haven't seen it. So this supposed fake $20 bill. And then, y'all look at video cameras and then we see who he is. And then y'all go ahead and do real police work. In this regard, to be detective work. Okay, cool. Not a problem. But he's still alive. So I'm not faulting. I'm not even going to begin to fault the store owner for George Floyd's death. But I'm just saying that we all need to be accountable in some degree on when do we need the police to interact with us. Because if you're in the hood every day, this is not the first time somebody tried to allegedly pass off some fake money to you. Stop it. You in the hood, man. Come on now. It's a hustle.
Right. And then the other thing that is equally...
And I'm not saying that, if you recognize it and they didn't get any goods from you, but you're still holding on to the money, and I'm not inside the store and you behind plexiglass, I'm assuming haven't been inside the store, then how much danger are you in?
Right. But again, the conversation that needs to be happening, because I used to work in banking, is how do you know did he know it was fake? You know what I'm saying? The variables then change because
it's too many. No matter how it played out, it still didn't warrant him dying.
No.
I don't give a fuck if he had a printing office in his basement. It did not warrant that man dying. And I think what angers America so much is, of course, that he died for nothing. It was just the fucking arrogance that the officer took his life with his hands in his pocket and his knee on his neck. And he could actually feel this man's life leave his body. What kind of fucking sadistic piece of shit are you? Honest. And speaking of pieces of shit, I am definitely not going to let this podcast go without calling out, judge not, least ye be judged. Okay. I got some shit with me. And one day we're going to be on this podcast talking about the shit with me, and then I'm going to explain my shit. Not a problem. But until that day comes, I'm still going to call out two people that, really need to be canceled. And I'm mad at their parents. I'm not even mad at them, because the parents could have stopped them from me. And I know that sounds harsh. Right about now, I don't give a fuck. Look, the parents could have actually did a lot of things so they couldn't be born. And the two people that I'm talking about is Terry Crews and Candace Owens. Whoever the parents of Terry Crews is, y'all did not have to have sex. You didn't have to keep the kid. Like, I know this sounds kind of harsh, but it comes to a time when not, like, you got to get rid of the house nigga, right? Bonafide, hands down, unadulterated house nigga. And the same thing with her. She's just a house nigga too. So fuck Terry Crews, fuck Candace Owens, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. 10 times over, fuck them. Like, her mother should have swallowed or took a back shot. We wouldn't even be talking about her. Matter of fact, I'm going to stop talking about her because I've been giving her too much, airplay. And same thing with Terry Crews. Like, your mother could have took it anally. Who knows? Who cares? But you don't even deserve, because if you don't see the atrocity, and you're both of y'all as black as all get out, skin tone, and you still don't see the wrong, and you, for whatever reason, whether you're being paid or you're just, somebody's pulling your strings, I don't know. But if you don't see the wrong, Like something's wrong with you if you don't see the wrong.
Listen, I cannot deal with the Jordan Peele extra at all. She can. Oof, I'm with you. So your mama should have fixed this a long time ago. But what's more disturbing about Terry Crews is that this is not his first incident.
Exactly.
Like
I don't even.
my
That's
issue with
another
Terry Crews
podcast.
is hypocrisy. Is that you run around talking about how much you love your black wife, your black kids, rah rah rah, but then you attack black women when it is, I guess, about to be economically beneficial to you. Sir, listen, there's not about to be another white chicks movie. I just want you to know we're not doing Idiocracy again. We're not, you know what I'm
But
saying?
even
Like,
if we do and he's in it, then we're not supporting it. Like, matter of fact, I'm not really a big fan of the whole cancel culture. I'm not, right? But enough is enough with certain people. Like, right, if this didn't anger you, if this didn't, put something on your soul, if this didn't put something on your spirit, right? I don't care what color you are. If you couldn't see this for what it is, and then what hurts so much is that you're trying to judge you because he's a reflection of you, and you're trying to justify his murder. Like, how can you even sleep at night? I didn't even watch, like, okay, I've never watched a tape, not going to watch a tape. I don't want that on my spirit. I'm highly an emotional guy, right? So I don't even want that in my spirit because I'm highly emotional. But how do you justify a knowing wrong? That's an inarguable wrong. And you can't justify that. So Terry Crews, Candace Owens, fuck you.
listen, and as parents, and Terry Crews is the other thing with me and Terry Crews is you're a parent. How do you have that conversation with your kids?
Because he thinks he's above that. You think that can never happen to you. But you don't understand.
Oh,
If a cop say your kid's old enough and they're driving and they're out with their friends and they don't know that, oh, that's Terry Crews' son, and Terry Crews is for us, so we're going to give his son a pass. If your son is not famous, if your son is not walking around with a bumper sticker or a name badge that says I'm Terry Crews' son and I am pro with the bullshit, then it can happen to them.
right.
And if not mistaken, Candace Owens had a situation that did happen to her, and the black culture rallied around her, and then she quickly forgot.
Listen,
Poor baby. Poor
right.
baby. Somebody
Don't
just give her a hug because
listen.
she's lacking self-love. Go ahead.
No. She needs some greens and cornbread. That's what she needs because clearly the poor baby is malnutrition. Because this is not the first race war situation that she's in. This is actually the second one because we had 5 deaths in 1 month, George Floyd being the last. And she commented about another situation, and it was like, wait, whoa. I'm minding my own business, and I deserve it with the, Ahmaud Arbery's situation where, he's chased down by, the neighborhood watch, if that's what you want to call them. And she was justifying, justifying their behavior as well as that of the deceased. And we're like, whoa. Like, what tree did you fall out of?
Yeah.
Like when they say, I remember as a kid that when my mom used to say, you must have fell and bumped your head. Now I know if it was a person, I figured out who it is.
Yeah, well, I think her DNA. I could be wrong, and somebody's gonna be offended. It's all right. House nigga runs in her DNA strongly. And Terry Crews, house nigga runs in his DNA strongly. It's both of them remind me of something Malcolm X said, and I thought that definitely rings true for them. The slave master be like, I'm sick, and then the slave will be like, we sick balls. Like that's their mentality. Like whatever's going on with the slave master, whatever the slave master's going through, you identify with like without question. And that's definitely, both of their mentality. But like I said, we didn't give them enough pub and whatnot. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of the whole council culture thing. I don't believe in passing judgment because everybody deserves a chance to redeem themselves or at least just live their lives. But when you do something repeatedly, like,
that's a behavior.
Okay, if you do something right. If you do something one time, no matter how horrific it is, and then your life should not be the totality of that one bad thing or one great thing that you've done, right? But if you consistently do that same thing over and over and over again, then that's who you are. So if you got Candace Owens always going to bat for the corruption of the police department and how these people were justified to die, then yeah, she's house nigga personified. Fuck that bitch. Yep, I said it. Yep, not a problem. If you got Terry Crews that, he wasn't even, my bad, he wasn't even, and I'm so wrong for this, and somebody's probably bite me. I don't even fucking care. He wasn't really moved enough to physically defend himself when a white man grabbed his dick, right? But he's quick to grab a microphone and justify the bullshit when a black man gets killed. If you don't get your limp, spineless ass, you got all them. What are you? Don't even go to the gym no more. Like you work out for what? You Slim, you less than. You're a poor excuse, and then you're less than a man.
Right.
And then judge not, at least you be judged anyway.
And then attacks a black woman when she stands up for what she believes is right, because she's not going to take the BS. So, but then he jumps on the, the bandwagon of, your basically your blues ain't my blues. Oh, but when it happened to you, you waited X amount of, whatever to say something. And then you wanted the whole black community to come behind you and rally behind you. When you don't get that, I think this is how, he is where he is. But in the words of Kendrick Lamar, I got loyalty inside my DNA. I ain't got house nigga. Ain't now, not never. But this is a hard one because, again, we're normally very tongue-in-cheek, have a lot of jokes and things like that. It is the hardest thing as a parent, as somebody who, is looking towards
as a black person.
Yeah, as a black woman. It's one thing to be black. It is a different, I can only explain the black experience from a woman's standpoint. And, it's always my goal to support us. It's always my goal. I've never been shy about saying, even though I've dated outside races and things like that, it was never a question about who I was marrying. If I'm going to marry, if I was going to have kids, they was going to be black. And there's just no two ways about it. Cause I said for all that, I have a black dad, I got a black nephew, so for me, there was no question about what I was going to do with my life. Like there's no way you are raised in a black household and you see the struggle and you don't, I don't want to say participate, but there's not a way that you don't sympathize. Like there's no way my love for black men is just, I don't want to say it's different than anybody else's, but I just got a respect for them in a different way. Like for a whole race to have to get up every day and provide for their family, again, in a world that does not want them, does not love them, does not provide for them, is systematically set up against them. Listen, I love y'all more than I love, almost the black woman. And we got to support y'all and do what we have to do to make, y'all world, not the world, but y'all world better. So for me, I got my fist raised, be the kings that, God has created y'all to be. We have to be the queens that God has made us to be. And we got to protect our kids the best way we know how. There's a lot of conversations that we need to have moving forward with our kids, not only in how they interact with the police, but just how they protect themselves, period.
Facts. And then the way that they see the world. It's crazy that you say that, right? We recently moved not too long ago. Before we moved, my youngest daughter, Mama, she went to an interracial school, and all her friends are, it's mixed, like, bag of nuts, mixed nuts, right? So it's beautiful to see them interact because they don't see race. They just see good people being good people towards one another. And so my daughter's a little jaded with what's going on in the world today because she doesn't understand, like, how can somebody, not like her for the color of her skin, the texture of her hair, the shape of her nose, the roundness of her little butt, the whole nine, man. She doesn't understand how she can be looked upon as a threat, even as a kid. And so those are difficult conversations, but conversations that's being had daily. I'm not trying to force feed her, my point of view. What I do is I'll give her open-ended conversation or open-ended information, and then she can defer because she's bright. She can defer from there, and then she can piece that together as she goes in life. Because, like I said, once again, what's the generation that's carrying on now is definitely not my generation or the generation before that. And so when it's her time, because it's going to be everybody's time to pick up that mantle. In America today, if you're black, you're going to have to, it's sad, but it's some shape, some form, you're going to have to pick up that mantle of justice in the way that you carry yourself, the way that you, the example that you set forth to the world, the example that you set forth for your kids, you're going to have to pick up that mantle of justice. It's no, I'm gonna sit on the sidelines and see how this bullshit play out. It's none of that. It's just either you. It's not even, to be honest. Yes, the atrocities are affecting blacks and browns predominantly, but as a humane issue, you can't sit on the fucking sidelines and be outraged at Michael Vick killing dogs than you are at a black man being killed. Like, that's, come on now. Like, really? Like, really? I'm not saying what he did was right, not in the least bit, but we're talking about a human life. Human lives. George Floyd just happens to be the latest.
Listen, there's no easy way to end this, but this is your, this is your area. I'm with Dave Chappelle for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We watched life as we know it change in some degrees for the better, in some degrees for the worse. Obviously, our condolences to the Floyd family. I, appreciate how they have dealt with their grief publicly and privately. Really giving the world a better example of how, in the worst of it all, how to really stick with God and to really, how you navigate as best as you can, especially when the rest of the world is watching. So our deepest condolences to them, to all the families who have lost a loved one this month. Again, that's George Floyd was the 5th. And to other families who are going through the same thing. Listen, this is not the first time, and we are praying for it to be the last. I wouldn't hold my breath for that long either. But 8 minutes and 46 seconds, that's what it took to get us here. DK Walker, take us out.
Yeah, it's sad. George Floyd was definitely, the latest. I pray to God in heaven that, he be the last. I do. It bothers me it bothers me. Like it bothers me. It bothers me because, as people, no matter what your race, no matter what, your religious belief, no matter what your sexuality, as people, to our core, we when tapped into, we show so much promise. We show what the world could really be, as people, if we would just unite and just to accept one another, for what, they are, no matter what the difference is, just accept, don't pass judgment, as people. This is hard to even sum up in words. I'm going to try my best. Look, so, getting to this point, I'm a movie buff and I watch, a lot of movies, and, I quite often say on the podcast that I'm a strange fruit, you can take that, for what it's worth it. But I see things differently. So watching one of my favorite movies, which is The Avengers, and I believe it was the second one, was The Age of Ultron, and there was a character in that movie by the name of Vision, and he spoke of like the reason that we have more going on in the world today as far as badness is because, causality. So what I mean by that is that the reason that you have this unrest with the people, when you have this, I'm not turning the other cheek from the people. The reason that, the first one was one too many from the people is causality. You cannot keep murdering us. You can't keep killing us. You can't keep marginalizing us. You cannot keep fucking us over and expecting us to smile, shuck and jive, and just take it with all the rest of the bullshit. Causality. You keep pushing, we're going to push back. You keep pushing, we're going to push harder. You keep pushing, you keep pushing. So anybody hearing this, just no more. Just no more. Just stop. Just no more. We're not going to take this no more. And for the most racist person, look within inside yourself. You wasn't born that way. I don't know what got you to that level, that hatred, but we all pawns. You can stop playing the game. Like it's a life. Like, people that's dying prematurely is somebody's husband, is somebody's father, is somebody's brother, is somebody's cousin, is somebody's mother, is somebody's aunt, is somebody's sister. Doesn't that affect your soul? How do you fucking sleep at night knowing that you played God? Be safe, Black people. Be safe.
This is Karen KK Rose alongside my co-host, the lovable asshole DK Walker. This is the Love Is Podcast, and thank you so much for joining us.
This episode of the Love Is Podcast has ended, but please be sure to subscribe for more great content on sex, entrepreneurship, life, love, and how to get through the BS of it all. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring more of that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and, dare I say, the lovable a-hole, Mr. DK Walker. See you on the next podcast.